We are a peaceful people, struggling we struggle, and we no look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. No, we ain't giving up no mountain, and we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belong to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. This land is our land now. We're gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow, but never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we are moving from here. Make no mistake. No, we ain't giving up no mountain. No, we ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belong to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupanuni and the Essequibo, daytime or night. Though we criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we mean to keep it. We have that right. No, we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belong to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass, not one golden apple, not one jamon, not a drop of water.
All right, there. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon to all Guyanese and all those who are in the diaspora and looking on. Welcome to Over to You. My name is Wayne Caesar. I'm going to be your host for this evening. I hope you guys are doing well and is seated. And we're going to have a little time here today. I do have a guest, and that person will be on shortly. But in the meanwhile, can you guys please like the show and share the link? Good evening to you, Mr. Colin Barnwell. A pleasant good evening to you, my brother. I hope you're seated and let's rock and roll, my brother, because I know you don't play around. It's rock and roll time. So let's go. Good evening, Pamela. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Please share the link. Lynette Nelson, good evening to you. Share the link, like this show. Arlene Ruben Benjamin. Yes, Arlene, you're one of my biggest fans. A pleasant good evening to you. Ingrid Carter also. Good evening, Miss Carter. Oh, Miss Brenda Casey. Let me give a bow there. Good evening, ma'am. Vanetta Adams, good evening. Yes, let's share the link. Let's share the link. Let's share the link. Tessa Lane, good evening. Share the link, like the show. We're going to get started. What should I start on? There is so much that would have happened this week. There is so much that would have happened this week. But what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to start off on a positive note. You know, with the conference that was held at the Critchlow Labor College. You know, I was purview to watching the entire conference, and it was a productive evening for the Guyanese people in particular. Their voices were heard, and to the extent you didn't get an opportunity to present to that U.S. delegation, I think they would have given out email addresses and websites that you can go and you can put your statements there. Please do so. Please do so, because they will be doing a comprehensive review of all those statements, of all the cases. And then they're going to put together a beautiful, robust presentation in which they would present So I would figure Congress, I would figure the White House would get a copy of that, and it would be available to whomever needs a copy of it. So it's a good thing, and it's a good opportunity, you know, to really show what this dictatorship, PPPC government, is doing to the everyday Guyanese, especially those who does not support the wicked and vindictive regime. Listen, we know that the PPPC time in office will be short-lived. It will be short-lived. We are within what, 2 years now, and then we should be ready for elections. That's if it doesn't happen before that, and they have had an opportunity, many of opportunities to pivot um differently and treat the Guyanese people with some respect and some dignity, but they have not done so. So hey, their time is up. It doesn't matter what they do now going forward. The people would have known what they would have gotten for the past 3 years, and prior to that, 23 years. One thing I noticed that's happening again, and it's picking up again, we had a little bit of a slowdown, is the road accidents in Guyana, man. And these accidents are horrendous, man, in nature. You know, we really need to be careful on the roads, Guyanese. Be very, very careful on the roads. Take your time and get there safe, and take your passengers and everybody safe to your destination. Don't hurry, and then everybody's ending up in the morgue amongst other places, injured in the hospitals and stuff. And we have no proper hospitals in Guyana. We don't have proper hospitals, facilities in Guyana. I don't care about the private hospitals. They too do not have everything. So we're still in a struggle with, when you look at the health industry, we're still struggling there. And that's something that we need to really, up our game. But I don't think that that would happen under this current government. This current government doesn't care about the regular everyday Guyanese, much less to care about their health. It has to happen when we have a new government. And whomever that new government is going to be, the pressure is still going to be on from us, because listen, I'm not here to play around with this party or that party, or if this party is Afro Guyanese or if this party is Indo Guyanese. I don't care about that. What I care about is that we have a government that is going to be serving the people first. I think we have someone on. Colin?
Yeah. Hello, Wayne. Thanks for having me.
Sure. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Hello to your viewers as well everywhere. All right thinking Guyanese wanting to see good for the land.
Yes, yes, yes. You want to just break down and tell us a bit about yourself, and then maybe elaborate a little on, what the everyday Guyanese is facing?
Well, I consider myself, well, I live in the diaspora, but I am a concerned Guyanese, a son of the soil, that would like to see a better Guyana for all Guyanese. The direction the country is headed in, led by Bharat Jagdeo, is really very disturbing. Um, Guyana can do a lot better than it's doing right now with the ton of resources that God has blessed the land with. It's time to turn the page on the politics of hate. It's time to write a new chapter in the nation's history. Yes, we've been a nation that has been in political turmoil for years, but that was a long time ago. And with the information at hand, we can do much better. We can put this nation on a great footing to be very competitive, to advance, given the oil resources and all the other natural resources in the land. The missing ingredient is the human resource, the kind of governance that is all inclusive, where every Guyanese can benefit and partake in the patrimony of the country, regardless of their race, political affiliation, religious affiliation or any other consideration. So that kind of Guyana cannot be forged by the ruling government. It's now 26 years of mismanagement, 26 years of poor governance, 26 years of corruption, 26 years of lawlessness, 26 years of extrajudicial killing, murders, um, disenfranchisement of citizens, their rights taken away via different methods. This is something that's untenable, and we just can't go down this road anymore. So I am lending my voice to say all Guyanese must share equally in everything that Guyana has to offer. No group or no individual should be excluded based on their race or perceived political affiliation. It's unacceptable, and it's time to rise up. It's time for every Guyanese to arise, because together we rise, united we stand, and divided we surely will fall. As you could see in recent development, we have an external threat. Venezuela is now threatening to invade and may have
So,
already begun an invasion.
Mr. Barrell, not to cut you, I see that you're getting into Venezuela, but I'm gonna allow you. I'm gonna allow you to elaborate on Venezuela. But before, let's go back to what you was talking about. So basically, you are looking for a democratic Guyana. You're looking to see Guyana under a democratic process where you don't have
Correct.
a thing, because we talk about the PPPC as a party, but even if you look at them from a party perspective, it seems to be one individual, you understand me, that is demonstrating absolute power and is making all the decisions across the
Right,
board.
right,
And
right.
you're saying that we need to get away from that because it has been happening now for 26 years and the country has
Yes,
gone absolutely nowhere. That's the
yes,
point you're making there.
yes, correct. It's a toxic kind of politics that was fomented by Bara Jagdeo. I recall when he came to power, when he was given power by Janet Jagan, when he was brought to prominence. Some in the African community had given him the benefit of the doubt. But his kind of politics, I always questioned him, because I recall he would always refer to the 28 years of PNC. Every statement that this guy made when he came to office is always about 28 years of PNC, Burnham. This guy has been chasing the ghost of Burnham for decades. And that is, no person can govern fairly with that kind of burden on them, with that kind of revenge. He has a bone to pick with Burnham. He's been chasing the ghost of Burnham for a long time. And so long as you have that kind of bitterness and that kind of venom, it's impossible to be objective or to govern fairly. So he is now a liability, a political liability, an economic liability to the nation, because he's the most corrupt um, politician in the history of the nation.
Agreed.
He has taken more out of Guyana than any other person in the history of the nation. He is taking the nation down a dark and destructive path. And no right thinking Guyanese would see Barrett Jagdeo as anything other than a total disaster for Guyana. He has to go. I'm surprised that uh, his fellow leaders in the party don't see him for who he is, as very toxic. And I'm guessing that come this next election, the Guyanese people, they're really fed up. They've reached that point. Guyanese take a long time to get to that pitch where many other nations by now, there would have been a lot of fireworks in the country. But Guyanese people tend to have a high tolerance level for foolishness. And yeah,
Yes.
Guyanese people have a high tolerance level for foolishness. And they can't the people are fed up, and I believe that they're going to. I believe that they're going to rebel, and Jagdeo, his own people might have to push him out of the party if
Well,
they do any kind of sense.
Colin, when you talk about the people rebelling, there are many ways that they can rebel. They can rebel with their vote, amongst other things. And in order for them to rebel, with their votes and executing their democratic right, we have to make sure that the GCOM apparatus is working correctly, and thus far, I don't think, it is working the way that it should, and that door is closing. That door is closing. You wanna elaborate
Yeah,
on that?
I agree with you. GCOM has been hijacked by Barra Jagdeo. GCOM is not functioning as an independent or credible electoral supervisor, and the recent local government election that was concluded months ago has not been declared officially by the chair, and this is very troubling. I'm surprised that there's not more action and activism in the land, because this is a very serious issue. It gives me pause because the general election, if the regional election, a much smaller election with less participants, cannot be called, it means that the next general election will have more trouble than 2020. If you think that 2020 elections was a disaster, think about what will happen given the current trajectory of GCOM. GCOM is in a total collapse. The chair, Claudette Singh, has been hijacked by Bara Jagdeo. She is just doing whatever Jagdeo wants her to do. She is not an objective person. She doesn't have the moral decency that she touted before when Granger was in office. And so she is likely to allow shenanigans to go down. And that's going to be a problem. I'm telling you, I can see that that's going to be a serious problem. So we need pressure to apply the pressure now so that GCOM can shape up, or or maybe Claudette Singh will have to go. If we put enough pressure, which will require, in my estimation, in my judgment, it will require some kind of demonstrations, which the current opposition is opposed to doing. But I see that as the way forward, because you gotta give the regime something to think about. You can't just be a war of words, because they will ignore. Dictators do not listen to words. As Frederick Douglass once said, power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will. So the Guyanese people have to put a demand on this dictatorial regime. They have to come out into the streets. They have to demonstrate. They have to show that they will not tolerate an unjust GCOM.
So Mr. Barnwell, you're saying that we need to get out there, we need to get into the streets, and we need to make some good trouble. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I am saying, honestly, Mr. Caesar, I don't even, at this stage, I don't even got time to qualify the resistance, because it's reached that stage right now where I don't even care to say peaceful anymore. Peaceful protests. I The people who want peaceful protests or peace should not have the country in a state where people have to even go out to the streets. So the onus is on them. If anything goes wrong, like, I see that the opposition has given their position why they are hesitant to protest, because Barrett Jagdeo will send quote unquote our people into the protest and cause disturbance or that
Colin,
kind of thing.
Colin, let me respectfully pause you there and say to you and say to our listening audience, that is no excuse.
Hmm.
That excuse on the opposition, that is lame. It is no excuse. No one should be able to stop you from going out and protest. It is your democratic right. You know, you have to create systems.
Exactly.
You have to create systems to make sure that
Exactly.
those intruders, you know, does not get into your crowd. You understand me? And try to spoil what you're trying to do. You know, there's
Yeah.
always systems that you can put in place to avoid these things from happening. We cannot blame and say that, you know, Barry Jagdeo is going to send people. That's based on assumptions. You're assuming that he's going to send people. You have to get out there first and execute and see what happens from there and go from there.
But I agree with you, Wayne. And in addition to that, my position is this: protests, the nature of protest. What causes protest? Protest is people venting their dissatisfaction. People are upset. People have reason to show their displeasure. So if you don't want protests and the unintended consequences of protest, then it is incumbent on the real ruling party to govern fairly, to create an atmosphere where people are happy and satisfied, so they don't need to protest in the first place. Once there is just no way in the world where protests occur that they don't have looting, they don't have all kind of unintended stuff. There are people who are just opportunistic and will do what they do. That's not they never will define the protest. They never they, if they didn't initiate the protest, and they can never define the protest. So protesters should just do their job. Protest. If anyone breaks the law, they will be responsible for the consequences of breaking the law. So I don't understand the rationale why that should prevent people from going out there and protesting. People should absolutely go out there and do their constitutionally guaranteed duty of peaceful protesting,
Well
having their
said.
voices heard. That's my take on it.
Well said, Mr. Barrell. And you know, there's so many issues out there to protest to. Because we would have seen what would have happened in 2020, and the PPPC wasn't even sitting in government at that time, Colin.
Right.
And they were able to rig a whole election,
Hmm.
much less now. You know, they are sitting there in government. So
Right.
we know what's going on behind closed doors. We
Hmm.
know. And this is where those three GCOM commissioners become very, very, very important to the opposition, because the opposition will be looking to them, you understand me, to get that information from inside, you know. But we do not hear from these three commissioners, Desmond Trotman, Charles Corbin, and the Honorable Vincent Alexander. We do not hear from these guys, and we need to hear from them.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I myself was asking the same question. Even if Claudette Singh was quiet and she's not saying anything, how about the three the representatives from the opposition? I know Charles Corbyn and I know Mr. Alexander somewhat, but just don't understand why they would be silent and not say anything. They're accountable to the Guyanese people equally, so they should come out and say something, and there's got to be a shake-up in GCOM. The way forward, the way to defeat the PVP by the ballot is through a credible GCOM, a GCOM that all Guyanese can trust. And the fact that the PPP and Barrett Jagdeo is not willing to make GCOM a credible body, it tells you that they have no intention of running a democratic Guyana. These are thugs. These people are bullies, and they intend to just hold on to power. And the Guyanese people will have to make a decision. Do we want the continuation of tyranny? Do we want a despotic regime to have control over your every movement, to have the police be unanswerable to anyone and do whatever they want at the behest of some government official? Or do we want a Guyana where we are moving towards a more democratic and a more perfect nation? This election is going to be the most consequential in our lifetime. And whatever we do in this election will determine the course of Guyana's destiny. It is very critical, very important that people take this election very seriously. Do everything that you can to win by the ballot, which means getting everyone registered, regardless of whether you think whether you think Jagdeo them will steal or whatever they do. You still do your part. Every Guyanese interested in a different Guyana must go and get registered. Must check that your name is listed on the on that list. Ensure that you are registered and that you will vote. You exercise your right. This is a very, very consequential election, and you do everything you can, but you also have the protest option where you let them know that if things don't go the way of democracy, it's going to be a different Guyana. There's going to be war. No one will peacefully accept the shenanigans of Barra Jagdeo. His time is long expired,
Yes.
and we will put him out of business, plain and simple. The PPP will not be able to return to a Guyana where Barra Jagdeo runs the country. One man holds the country hostage. Not going to happen. It's going to be war in Guyana. People got to start. I need the opposition to make it clear that we're going to do everything by the books. We're going to go out there, get people registered. We're going to vote and respect a credible outcome. But under no circumstance will we accept a Barra Jagdeo fraudulently, whether by bringing in Venezuelans or whoever he brings in to pad the voters list. It's not going to happen. That kind of Guyana, we're not going to tolerate, and it's going to be a different outcome. You know?
Right. Well said, Mr. Barnwell. And listen, when Collins speak of war, we are not talking about a war. You know, we are meaning that, hey, we're gonna hold the PPPC accountable. We're gonna put Mr. Barra Jagdeo in check. He's not gonna have that free reign that he has always had in the past, where he just say whatever and people listens to him. You guys have seen this guy is a failure for an economist. I don't know how come he can call himself, an economist, or even call himself savvy from a financial perspective. Because if you look at him being savvy from a financial perspective, all he would have done is to rip off the Guyanese people for 23 years plus 3 years. That's all. Barra Jagdeo is the only one that is gaining wealth. When you look at the ordinary Guyanese, they're living in poverty. The lady we just had that clip that Mark always shows with that lady who always talks about she needs to have a different gentleman for everything. It just shows you how Guyanese are living day to day.
Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
You hear that, Mr. Barnwell, loud and clear.
No,
and she is correct.
I couldn't hear.
Well, you couldn't hear her.
No, there was no sound.
Yes, she was talking about a monthly man, I think a weekend man, and a fortnight. Yes. Yeah, and this is what Guyanese has to face. Inflation is up there. In the US, yes, inflation is coming down because the US has a proper structured government, and they too experience they still have their difficulties there. Much less a country like Guyana, that the government is just not structured properly. It's not operating as a democracy. The PPPC have a 1-seat advantage and use it like if they have a 20-seat advantage. You understand me? Every time they go to parliament, they want to go into the Natural Resource Fund for additional money. They're borrowing from the IDB. They're borrowing from everybody. They're building bridges here. They're doing this. Come on. And there's nothing coming to the Guyanese people from this oil wealth. Not a single cent. You still have people that are sitting there waiting for their COVID cash grants with a pink slip. Mark was telling me the other day, weighing the pink slip probably turned white by now. This is what the PPPC is doing to normal, everyday Guyanese. You know, part of their manifesto, free university. Where is the free university? We just graduated students again, and there's no free university. You know, they talk about 50,000 jobs. Where is the 50,000 jobs? You can't give people little part-time jobs. That's just not enough for people to be able to, you know, raise a family and do all these things. When you go to the landlord, and rent is the largest expenditure people typically has. When you go to the landlord, can you tell him, hey, this month I work part-time, so the rent is going to be part-time? You can't say that. You know, you got to come up with the full rent. And there's what these guys don't understand. That's why I am happy that we had this fact finding, that we have this fact finding mission in Guyana right now. And people are able, you know, to bring these things up, bring up how they are living in poverty, bring up the fact that the PPPC continues to oppress them. These people have their hands in everything, single thing. They control GCOM. They control the Guyana police force. They control in the banking industry. You know, they have sheriff that just ordered 100 trucks. Sheriff have hospital. Sheriff has security company that has more guns than the Guyana Defense Force and the Guyana Police Force put together. So, Colin, shouldn't sheriff be on the border? Let's get to
Absolutely.
Venezuela a bit.
Absolutely.
Shouldn't sheriff be the ones on the border and not our underpaid soldiers? And I
Sheriff
say,
should be on the border. All the cronies of the government that has been sucking the nation dry with their millions and billions, they should be heading on the front line to defend the country. Jacques Deo, who was taking it all, he should be leading the troops. He and Ali should be out there defending Guyana because they have been draining all the resources and everything that Guyana has. The soldiers, they're all public servants that got nothing from this government, nothing but ill words. Remember that Barrett Jagdeo referred to our soldiers as rapists just to get political advantage in his one of his strongholds.
correct.
He
I
said
remember
that the
that.
soldiers are going to rape Indian women. And these are the people that are calling black leaders racist. The people like Barrett Jagdeo that have no kind of legs to stand on. But the Guyana is really, Guyanese people are suffering. Too many Guyanese are suffering in a nation that has so much wealth, a nation that has oil. They're boasting about the fastest growing economy, but fastest growing for who? Not for the ones, not for the ordinary citizen. The ordinary Guyanese is getting nothing. It's only a handful of people. The president and his clique, and you know, a few people are enjoying all that Guyana has at the expense of the masses. And I think it's time for people to stand up and rise up and rebel against this fraudulent One Guyana scam that is being run by these guys here. These are thieves. These are common thieves. If Guyana was a nation of laws, I guarantee you very few people in this government would be standing today. They would all be imprisoned because they are culpable. They are guilty of theft of state funds in one way or another. They have ripped the nation off. These are unconscionable criminals. What kind of human being would operate in this fashion? Guyana has less than 1 million people with so much resources. And I gotta ask, like one of like said the late said Ted Kennedy. Ted Kennedy asked one time, "How much is enough? How much is enough for these people? I mean, how much is enough for them? Don't haven't they taken enough from the Guyanese people already? Haven't they stolen and coveted enough? How much more do they need? How much more do these people need before the ordinary Guyanese can get their fair share? Before
Right.
the ordinary Guyanese can breathe, before the ordinary Guyanese can have a decent living. We gotta do something about these people.
Agree totally with you, Mr. Barnwell. The Guyanese people need to rise up. And Colin is saying rise up, and your opportunity to rise up is to let your voices be heard. Rise up at the polls. Rise up at the polls. Vote this government out. Vote this government out. Indo Guyanese, Afro Guyanese, all 6 ethnic groups. You guys see what's going on here. The issues is not just affecting one or two ethnic groups, it's affecting us all across the board. Once you do not support the PPPC, you will be affected. And even PPP supporters are walking away from this party because they see what this party is all about. They are all about engaging the rich.
When they come into your homes and start kicking you down, the doors down, and when they come after you, who is going to be there if the people are going to subvert the professionalism of the army and police? Because there be no professional army or police if Granger, if the entire executive is dominated by senior ex-policemen and ex-soldiers. There can be no professionalism as was done in the past. So
Imagine
Yeah. Wow.
Barry Jagdeo has the nerve
Wow.
to speak in that manner. A
Mhm.
man who under, you understand me, his term, so many was executed. You understand me? His party was sitting there in power when Ronald Waddle was executed, when Courtney Crum Ewing was executed, Peter Headley executed driving his own car. These guys are ridiculous. The PPPC should be known as the PPPC Death Squad because all they would have brought to the people of Guyana is death. You send your little children out, your little African American boys, 16, 17, 18 years old, you got to pray for them to come back home. Barry Jagdeo, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. And you thought you put yourself and call yourself a leader of whom? The Guyanese people indeed need to rise up and vote this guy out. Listen, when you vote this guy out, you're being unselfish because you're going to hand over something, a better Guyana, to your children, your grandchildren, and future generation. We cannot continue to trend the way we are trending as a country. It is not good. It is not good. Colin, is there anything
I
else you
agree
want
with
to add,
you.
sir?
I agree with you 100%. I'm so happy that there is a team that the government is not able to control or manipulate. That came to Guyana to listen to the ordinary folks, to hear directly from the Guyanese people themselves, so that they can compile their report for the fact finding team. So I am happy that a lot of Guyanese were able to have their say. Unfortunately, yesterday there was a meltdown as a result of agents of the PPP who came clearly with an agenda to disrupt and to prevent the team from listening to all of the evidence that corroborates the allegations of racism and prejudice that exist in the nation. And I am sure the team is smart enough to deduce from that conduct what kind of government is running the country. So they no doubt have inadvertently revealed the true PPP to those same observers. And I'm sure that we will see action coming from Washington to pressure the regime because this is a racist government. It is a government that is only for a few and not for the majority. When they say one Guyana is for one set of people, is a Guyana for one set of people, and I hope that I'm not sure if they will have any more time left. Um, oh, they're gone. Okay, so I'm told they don't have any more time left, but they needed not to hear from every single Guyanese because they left today. So they didn't have to hear from every single Guyanese. They have what is called, as you're an accounting guy, so you know about representative sample. And
Yes.
so there is enough data there to support the allegation of racism in Guyana. Many people were able to express in their own words. And I can tell you, Wayne, that hearing direct from the Guyanese people has way more weight than a narrative by the government. The government can say whatever they want, but when the policymakers in Washington hear directly from ordinary citizens, it is most impactful. And I can guarantee you that right now, Barrett Jagdeo and his team is most likely very nervous about what's going to happen because they understand they were trying their best not to have Guyanese. They don't like Guyanese people to have
Well,
their say.
Colin, not
Mhm.
not to cut you, quick correction. The team is still on the ground in Guyana. They are
Oh,
wrapping up. Yes,
oh,
they are actually wrapping up some private meetings. And to your point, I agree with your point, 1,000,000%. It was good to see that Guyanese were able to have their voices heard. Those presentations were very, very powerful in nature. And I must say, I agree with you. That was a pretty good sample there of what is happening across the country. And they still have the website, and I'm sure that they're still accepting presentations.
oh, that's
So to
awesome.
the extent, you have a presentation, still go and post it to that website, because I think they will start compiling once they get back to the United States here and all settled down. Then they're going to start compiling and analyzing all the information, and that will um, create the necessary reports that they would be presenting. So it's important to get your information out there. And listen, Colin, these delegates, they would have experienced racism firsthand from the time they landed at the airport in Guyana,
Right,
and there
right.
was not proper security in place for them,
Mhm.
because they was not coming, you understand me, on a mission, you understand me, that would help the PPPC.
Right, right.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you, Wayne. I mean, it's reasonable to deduce that the government acted out of spite because they could not control the group and and determine the report that's going to be sent to Washington. They decided to undermine the safety, which is really bad. Which is really really bad that they would stoop to that level. And I'm sure that is one of the consideration that the team will have in presenting their facts to the lawmakers in Washington.
Tell him to send you the website.
Do you have the website? Maybe we can, you can have it pinned on screen so those
Yes, I am
people
going to
who
see if the
want to look at it
operator,
do that.
I will see if the operator has that website at hand to pin on screen. If not, coming up at 8 p.m. sharp US time, 9 p.m. Guyana time, there will be a primetime show with Mr. Mark Anthony Benchop and Mr. Rickford
Oh,
Burke.
oh,
And we can
awesome!
have
Wow,
that. We
tonight.
can have, yes, tonight
Oh,
at
awesome,
8
awesome.
p.m. sharp US time, 9 p.m. sharp Guyana time. Listen, Colin, we are
Sound
on it here at 107.1 FM. Our goal is to continue to keep the PPPC on their back foot. They must never be able to make a forward stride to try to drive any balls. We're going to keep our length and lines very, very good. So we have to be consistent. So at 8 p.m. sharp, Mr. Mark Anthony Benchop and Rickford Burke will be having a special live. So please, everyone, please tune in and please share the link. Send out texts, inform your friends that we have a live at 8 p.m. sharp. Colin, is there anything else you want to add, or do you want to give a closing remark, and just try to give something positive for the Guyanese people, to look forward to?
Yes. Well, thanks so much, Wayne. So, um, like I was saying earlier, I am so convinced that this election is very very consequential, and I would like every Guyanese to understand that if the PPP is allowed to be in office beyond this current term, the Guyana will be changing for the worst. It will be a Guyana that Guyana will will no longer exist the way we know it. Guyana as we know it will cease to exist in that form. You wouldn't want to live in the Guyana after the PPP would be in office another term. These guys have done so much damage that it's incumbent upon every single citizen. Every citizen must be a soldier in this war for economic freedom, in this war for justice, in this war for fairness. Every citizen must be a soldier. So I would like to encourage everyone, it's not all lost. You have the power to make the change. And if every citizen stand up, we guarantee that there will be a better Guyana for all of us and for generations to come. So I hope that people will do what's right and take a stand now for a better tomorrow.
All right. Well, Colin, you know the saying, right? When you're playing lotto and those things, you got to be in it to win it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is so important that everybody make sure that they are registered. I think registration closes on the 30th of November. That means in about 12 days or so, registration will be closing. So to the extent you are of the age or you are going to be of the age come 2025, please go ahead and get yourself registered if you want to be a part of this conversation. You understand me? Because in order to talk about it, you have to be in it. You have to let your voice be heard. You have to let your vote count. Listen, it's your democratic right. Nobody can stop you from voting. You get out and you go there and you let your voice be heard. Listen, we have little children that are going to bed on empty stomach in Guyana, an oil-producing nation.
Really?
We have little children that is going to school on empty stomach in an oil-producing nation. Now tell me, how is a child supposed to learn on empty stomach? These are the things that we have to change. Our health system is a mess. I think our public hospitals are being sabotaged so that they can all be put out of existence, and you will have to go to these private institutions, Sheriff amongst others. And when you go there and you don't have the necessary monies for your patient or loved one to be seen, those hospitals will not see the patient. Could you just imagine the kind of pressure that put on people who are already living in poverty? We cannot afford to have that in Guyana. And these are some of the issues that you have to vote to. Not forgetting Guyana Power and Light. What? 12-hour blackouts, 6-hour blackouts 4 times a day. GWI, brown water. I didn't ask for coffee. I asked for water. I asked for water. Proper water pressures, these type of things. All these infrastructural work. These are the kind of works that they need to be looking into. Providing proper services to the Guyanese people before you saying that you're going to build skyscrapers and additional hotels and stadiums and malls and all that kind of stuff. Where the Guyanese people are getting the monies to go and shop in these malls? You understand me? When we have inflation and salaries are not matching with the inflation. Come on, PPPC. Come on, Airfanali and Jagdio. Come on. Is that dense you guys are? Is that dense you guys are? Come on. Stop billing all these things unless you're billing it out for the foreigners that you all are giving all the lands to. And that's another thing we're not going to condone. People are not going to, external individuals are not going to be coming into Guyana and being placed in front of Guyanese who've been waiting for 17, 18, 19 years for a piece of land. These are the issues we have across Guyana. These are the issues we need to vote to. Not barring and not forgetting racism, marginalization. These are all the things we're seeing. Guyanese being denied any of the oil patrimony. Another thing we want, these big gold and diamond dealers, you guys need to let your catch, what you extract, hit the Guyana Gold Board and be taxed properly. Let the country gain revenue from that. Don't extract it through Brazil amongst other countries. Don't send it through there. illegally and not reporting it to the gold board. These are things we have to tighten up on. And I hope the opposition or whomever is going to be next in government is listening, because it's not going to go down easy. We're going to still hold your feet to the fire. This is not about who's in government and who's not in government. This is all about the Guyanese people, period. Period. The Guyanese people, that's what I want to see. Their lives become better. Guyana become a better place. Colin, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for your inputs, man. And I look forward to having you back on this show anytime, my friend. Anytime. All right. Thank you so much. All right. All right, Colin. Take care. All right. Listeners and viewers, thank you so much. You know, I hope the show was informative. I hope it was edifying. Listen, this fight continues. We are going to continue to fight the fight. You know, and I can see victory in front of us. My brothers and sisters, we have 6 ethnic groups across Guyana. We all need to come together to ensure that there is change. No ethnic group should be standing on the side and watching their Mati struggle. Okay, that's not right. We share hospitals together. We share markets together. We share everything. We share neighborhoods. We share villages. We share houses. We do all these things together. Let's all go and let's vote together for change. Okay? Let's vote together for change. PPPC, in order for Guyana to grow, you must go. PPPC, your time is up. PPPC, come 2025, the Guyanese people are going to say to you, enough is enough. I want to thank everyone for watching. Over to you today. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Don't forget, in prime time at 8 p.m. U.S. time, sharp, we have Mr. Mark Anthony Benchop and Mr. Rickford Burke. Both of them are well-versed, powerful political activists, and they are fighting day and night for each and every one of you. So please join them, 8 p.m. sharp, Guyana time. U.S. time, 9 p.m. Guyana time. Thank you for watching. Again, our program was brought to you courtesy of Linda's Restaurant and Bakery and Exquisite Hair Salon. Both of these establishments are located on Church Avenue between East 53rd and 54th Street. Again, on Church Avenue between East 53rd and East 54th Street. Also, our program is brought to you compliments of Benchop Consultancy and Immigration Law. Please contact Mark if you have any immigration matters. He will gladly help you. Asylum cases, family-based visa, adjustment of status, citizenship, derivative citizenship, all these things. Please reach out to Mark and he will assist you. Again, have a good evening, everyone. And please, as you go through the roadways, the highways and byways, as you traverse them, please, take your time and get yourself and your passengers to your destination safely. If you're out and you're traversing home, you make sure if the minibus driver is going too fast, you tell him or get off the bus. Okay? Don't let anyone put your life at risk. Until next time, everyone, enjoy the rest of the weekend, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965, I become a voter. And I always place my ex next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.
You could probably, on the maritime area, give Venezuela a channel out to.
I've lived in Guyana and I've attended multilateral school. And for my primary days in school to secondary school, I've learned and I've understood that Guyana covers 83 square miles.
Essequibo belongs to Guyana. 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 Any other thing? Essequibo belongs to Guyana. Essequibo belongs to Guyana. Essequibo belongs to Guyana. Not the blade of grass. Not one blue saki. Not one rice grain.